a few lessons about India and what the foreign meritorious people said about India. Remember that we are ignorant about India. We are ignorant that we are ignorant about India. But foreigners who really evaluated and who really studied about India, they know what was India, they know what is India, and they wanted to tell the world that when India is not the country just like any other country in the world, but India is a superpower in knowledge and also every aspect of human work and mission. What Albert Einstein said about India: we owe a lot to the Indians who taught us how to count. Indians taught the world how to count, and without which no worthwhile scientific discovery could have been possible. Without the number system, without the knowledge of counting, no scientific discovery could be possible. What T.S. Eliot said about India: Indian philosophers' subtleties make most of the great European philosophers look like schoolboys. When you just compare Indian philosophers, Indian scientists, and Indian knowledge carriers, and if you compare them with the European philosophers, T.S. Eliot says that the European meritorious thinkers will be just like schoolboys compared to the great masters, compared to the great Indian masters. He also said 2 years spent in the study of Sanskrit. Professor T.S. Eliot spent 2 years in the study of Sanskrit under Charles Lanman. He is also European, an Englishman. T.S. Eliot learned Sanskrit under a European or an English professor, and a year in the masses of Patanjali's metaphysics. Learned about Patanjali's Mahabhashya and Yoga Sutra under the guidance of James Woods, that too not an Indian scholar, Indian Acharya, Indian Guru, but a Western Guru. Those learning the Sanskrit and also Patanjali's knowledge left me in a state of enlightened mystification. I became an enlightened personality when I learned the Sanskrit and also when I learned the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. This is what T.S. Eliot, an American-born British playwright, literary critic, publisher, essayist, philosopher, and one of the most celebrated poets of the 20th century. He said like that. And also T.S. Eliot said, long ago I studied the ancient Indian languages. Long ago he studied the ancient Indian languages. And while I was chiefly interested at that time in philosophy, T.S. Eliot was chiefly interested in Indian philosophy and world philosophy. I read a little poetry too. T.S. Eliot says that he read a little poetry too, and I know that my own poetry shows the influence of Indian thought and sensibility. His T.S. Eliot's poetry itself show pretty well the impact, the influence of Indian poetries and Indian Sanskrit books. Francois M. Voltaire. What Voltaire said: I am convinced that everything has come down to us from the banks of Ganga. He is telling that everything has come to us from the banks of Ganga. This is told by Francois M. Voltaire, French philosopher. Everything, what does he mean about everything? The astronomy, the astrology, the metempsychosis, etc. It is very important to note that some 2500 years ago, at the least, Pythagoras went from Samos to the Ganga to learn geometry. Pythagoras went from Samos to India for learning the geometry. But he would certainly not have undertaken such a strange journey had the reputation of the Brahmins science not been long established in Europe. He would not have undertaken such a journey if it is not worth going up to India from Samos. Remember that Indian knowledge is such a superb knowledge told by Voltaire. He is also telling that the Veda was the most precious gift for which the West had ever been indebted to the East. The West is indebted to the East for the Vedas, the Vedic knowledge. Unfortunately, we Indians are ignorant about Vedas. We denigrated, we degraded, and we brought down the knowledge contained in Vedas. And we tarnished it. And also we just ignored Veda and said that it belongs to only Brahmins. We said that when it belongs to caste system. Even our own scholars and our own lawmakers ignored and criticized Vedas without even knowing what Vedas is. But Voltaire telling that Vedas was the most precious gift for which we, the West, had ever been indebted to the East. And Voltaire is also telling, if India, whom the whole earth needs, India, whom the whole earth needs, and who alone needs no one. India does not need anybody in the world, but the world needs India. Must by that very fact be the most anciently civilized land. India was and India is the most humanly civilized land. She must therefore have had the most ancient form of religion. Sanatana Dharma is the most ancient form of religion. And it always tells, Ano Bhadraha Kratavo Yantu Vishwadaha. Let noble thoughts come towards us from all over the world. And Voltaire is also telling that we have shown how much we surpass the Indians in courage and wickedness. The European country, European people, how much they are inferior in their quality of wickedness and courage to destroy others. When compared to the great India, we are far inferior to the great Indian thoughts which never destroyed anything in the world. Always accepted everything good from the world. Continuously did addition, deletion, modification and correction. And remember that great India is far superior compared to the European religion and culture. And how inferior to the Indians we are in our wisdom. We are far inferior to Indians when compared to their wisdom and our wisdom. Our European nations have mutually destroyed themselves in this land where we only go in search of money. The Europeans went only in search of money. They wanted to fulfill their greed. They wanted to destroy everything. They wanted to establish everything, looting all other cultures, destroying each other, continuously destroying each other, and tarnishing others, denigrating others, degrading others. This is what Voltaire tells about European religion. And we wanted to make money. We wanted to prosper in the most negative way by looting others, destroying others. While the first Greeks traveled to the same land only to instruct themselves. The great Greek civilization people went to India, had gone to India for collecting the knowledge, for accumulating the knowledge. And that is the greatest wealth, the knowledge which is the wealth. And next, Arthur Schopenhauer, what he said about India. In the whole world, there is no study so beneficial and so elevating as that of the Upanishads. In the whole world, for the last many millennia, no studies which can be equated with Upanishads. Upanishads stand always in the top, and the knowledge which is needed for the world. It has been the solace of my life. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the great German philosophers and writers, best known for his work, The World as Will and Representation. He was such a superman, written many books. He is telling that Upanishads has been the solace of my life. When I learn Upanishads, I learn many things. It gives consolation for my mind and thoughts. And it will be the solace of my death. When I die, then also these Upanishads will be there in my mind and in my brain to console me and to keep me away from the fear of death. They are the product of the highest wisdom. Upanishads are the product of the highest wisdom. And Schopenhauer also tells access to the Vedas is the greatest privilege this century may claim over all previous centuries. This century, that is the 19th and 20th century, he lived 1788 to 1860. So it is 19th century. And we can include the 20th century also. Access to the Vedas, people could reach to the Vedas. The Western scientists, thinkers, and meritorious people could reach to the Vedas because it got translated to German languages and English languages. Access to the Vedas is the greatest privilege this century may claim over all previous centuries. Before the 19th century, during the 18th, 17th and 16th century and prior to that, nobody could have the access towards Vedas. But now, and for the last 2 centuries, people in the West and people in America and other countries could access the Vedas because it got translated to their languages. Next to what he said, how entirely does the Upanishad breathe throughout the Holy Spirit of Vedas? The Upanishads, he could understand perfectly. Upanishad takes its breath, the oxygen from Vedas. The essence and the summary of the Vedas could be seen in Upanishads. How entirely does the Upanishad breathe throughout the Holy Spirit of Vedas? How is everyone who by a diligent study of its Persian Latin has become familiar with the incomparable book stirred by that spirit to the very depth of his soul? And through the Upanishads one could reach what is meant by mind. Through the Upanishads one could reach the depth of the intellect, the wisdom, the brain, the human activities, the sociology, the psychology, and everything could be just extracted from the Upanishads. It's an incomparable book written by the great sages many millennia before or ago, and it can never be compared with the far inferior book produced by the European writers for the last many millennia. The knowledge in the Vedas, the essence of the Vedas could be seen in the Upanishad, greatest knowledge contributor for the world. Werner Heisenberg, what he said, greatest 20th century scientist, atomic scientist. After the conversation about Indian philosophy with Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore, after the conversations about Indian philosophy with Tagore, some of the ideas of quantum physics that had seemed so crazy suddenly made much more sense. What Werner Heisenberg was thinking about, some of his own ideas, which he thought is primitive, it is vague, it's not clear. That is what Heisenberg thought about his own ideas. But after discussing with Rabindranath Tagore about the Upanishads and the Indian knowledge, suddenly some of the ideas of quantum physics evolved from his mind, from the mind of Werner Heisenberg, that had seemed so crazy earlier, suddenly made much more sense to this great scientist. When he could understand about the Vedas, when he could understand about Patanjali's Yoga Shastra, when he could understand about the Upanishads, Heisenberg could understand what the ultra-modern thoughts that he had within him, that got really bloomed. The flower, the fragrance of his own idea became realistic when he learned Indian knowledge. That was a great help for me. Werner Heisenberg could produce such a wonderful hypothesis and theorems and knowledge on uncertainty principle. Eka samaye chaubhayan anavadharanam. It is impossible to perceive two complementary properties at a time. It's given in Patanjali's Yoga Shastra. Perhaps he may have got it from Rabindranath Tagore during his discussion. Erwin Schrödinger, he is also an atomic physicist, one of the greatest physicists of the 20th century, who had also got Nobel Prize. and he has been awarded the Nobel Prize for his wave mechanics. What he said about India: some blood transfusion from the east to the west is a must to save Western science from spiritual anemia. Some blood transfusion with the hemoglobin of the Upanishadic and Vedic knowledge. The hemoglobin of the Vedic and the Upanishadic knowledge is to be transfused to the Western blood, the blood of the scientists, the thinkers, and the scholars. The Eastern blood is to be transfused to the Western scientists, so that the Western science will be escaped, will be saved, will be protected from spiritual anemia. So the lack of oxygen could be compensated with the Upanishadic and Vedic knowledge, which can be transfused to the brain of the West from the East or from India. In all world, there is no kind of framework within which we can find consciousness in the plural. Consciousness itself is plural. Eka eva hi bhutatma, bhute bhute vyavastita, ekada bahuda chaiva, drishyate jalachandravata. The moon is only one, its reflection is many. Sun is only one, drishyate surya eka jalavata. Drishyate jalachandravata, arka chandravata, arka jalavata. You can see that the moon is only one, but its reflections is multiple, millions and millions of reflection. So we can see that in all the world there is no kind of framework within which we can find consciousness in plurality. In plural, this is simply something we construct because of the temporal plurality of individuals. But it is a false construction. Individual is not individual as a single unit. It's the manifestation and manipulation of the divine power in millions and millions and millions of creatures. The same soul, the same Jivatma, the same Paramatma's manifestation in about 1.2 million type of animals, and about 4 lakhs type of plants, 80,000 types of trees, and nearly 1 million type of microorganism. You can see the manifestation of the same unit. Eka eva hi bhutatma. Really we can see that ekam sad vipraha bahuda vadandi. The ultimate aim is only one. Ultimate system is only one. It's manifested in multiple, in millions and billions and trillions of living beings. So you can see that Vishwadas Chakshurada Vishwado Mukho Vishwado Bahurada Vishwadas Path Tam Bahubhyam Namadis Sampadatraihi Dhyava Pradivi Janayan Deva Eka. Janayan Deva Eka. The ultimate and the omnipotent, omnipresent divine power is only one. It's manifesting in everything. That's what he is telling. Erwin Schrödinger is telling. The only solution to this conflict is so far as any is available to us, at all lies. Everything lies in the ancient wisdom of Upanishad. Everything lies in the ancient Upanishad, the ancient wisdom of Upanishads. That is what we can see if we are interested in going deep into the Upanishads. So you can see Kim Sid Vanam Kausa Vriksha Asid Kadamiswit Kadasid Shiksha Sakibya Habishiswadhava Swayam Yajaswa Dhanvam Vridhana. Then you can see that Ekam, the one, Advitiyam, not dual. Non-dual thing is only one. What is present in me, the same thing is present in you. Aham Brahmasmi. I am the manifestation and manipulation of the divine power. Tat Brahma Tomasi. You are also the manifestation and manipulation of divine power. I am Atma Brahma. What Jivatma soul is present in me, exactly the same Jivatma is present in you. And Schrödinger also tells the earliest records of my knowledge date back some 2500 years or more. From the early great Upanishads, the recognition Atman is equal to Brahman. Atman is equal to Brahman. That is, the soul is equal to individual soul, Jivatma is equal to omnipotent, omnipresent Paramatma. That is Brahman. What is Brahman? Intrinsic, inherent, self-guiding, self-motivating, self-energizing awareness and consciousness present in every living and non-living being. The Hindus call it as Brahman. Intrinsic, inherent, self-guiding, self-motivating, self-energizing awareness and consciousness present in every living and non-living being. The Hindus call it as Brahman. Anoraniyan Mahado Mahiyan Atma Guhayam Nihidosya Jando. It's present in the smaller than the smallest unit, hydrogen atom it is present. And bigger than Anoraniyan Mahado Mahiyan, it is also present in the omnipotent, omnipresent divine power. It's present in the whole universe. It's present externally and it's present internally. Tad andarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasya asya bahyadaha. It is present everywhere. And as is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm. As is the human body, so is the cosmic body. So Schrödinger tells the earliest records to my knowledge date back some 2500 years or more from the early great Upanishads. The recognition of Jivatma is equal to Paramatma or Atman is equal to Brahman. That knowledge was in Indian thoughts considered far from being blasphemous to represent the quintessence of the deepest insight into the happening of the world. The striving of all the scholars of Vedanta was, after having learned to pronounce with their lips, really to assimilate in their minds this grandest of all thoughts. Ekam sadvipra bahuda vadandi. What is present in me, the same is present in you. What is present in me and what is present in you, the same is present in a crow. It's present in a sparrow. It's present in a worm. It's present in a big whale. It is also present in the crocodile. It's present in the animals. Present in the donkey. It's present in the elephant. It's present in the camel. It's present in the 750 crore people living on the surface of the globe earth, right from the South Pole to the North Pole. And Schrödinger also tells Nirvana. Schrödinger says Nirvana is a state of pure blissful knowledge. Nirvana is the state of pure blissful knowledge. It has nothing to do with the individuals. It has nothing to do with the physical body. It's with the intellect or the wisdom or the mind or something like that. The ego or its separation is an illusion. Ego means aham bodham. The awareness and consciousness that it's I am. Aham Brahmasmi. That is the ego. Awareness and consciousness present in me. The ego or its separation is an illusion. That's the death is an illusion. The same soul will be taking another body and coming back. Just like we have got carbon cycle, just like we have got carbon dioxide cycle, just like we have got oxygen cycle, water cycle, nitrogen cycle, just like the cycle of Jivatma, the soul taking a body and leaving that body after it's becoming aged, then accepting another body. Vasamsi jirnani yada vihaya, navani grinadi naroparani, tada sharirani vihaya jirnani, anyadi samyadi navani dehi. This is from Bhagavad Gita. And you can see that karma, and the goal of man is to preserve his karma. Do your karma as dharma, vyakti dharma, kudumba dharma, samuha dharma, and rashtra dharma. Preserve your karma as dharma, and you can see that, and to develop its further progress, continuously evolve. Uddhared atman atmanam, na atmanam avasadayet, atma iva hyatmano bandhuho, atma iva ripuratmana. Elevate yourself, progress yourself, and take your family, take your culture, take your society, take your nation to higher levels. Never degrade, never belittle, never make fun of what you are and what you have to be. And remember the karma, and to develop it further. When man dies, his karma lives and creates for itself another career. This is Erwin Schrödinger said. He was a Nobel laureate too. So how beautifully he is explaining about our Purva Janma Karma, Karma Bhala, the Sanchita Karma, Prarabdha Karma, Arjita Karma, and taking the soul by these, taking by the soul all these Karma Bhala to the next generation. Vedanta teaches that consciousness is singular. Consciousness is singular, manifested in every living and non-living being. And that you can see, Eka eva hi bhutatma, ekam sadvipraha bahuda vadandi. Vyava Prithivi Janayan Deva Eka. One. The consciousness is singular. All happenings are played out in one universal consciousness. And there is no multiplicity of themselves. Consciousness is one. It's manifested as the consciousness of the universe system. God is within me, I am within the God. God is in me, pantheism. I am in the God, panentheism. That I am myself and the God is not separable. It's one and only one. When you reach at a higher level, you can see that whatever is present in me, that is the soul. I call it as Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body. Just like I say, this is my watch, this is my specs, this is my head, this is my neck, this is my fingers, this is my ring. Just like that I say, this is my body. But what really me, I, that is the soul. So the soul belongs to, this soul belongs, soul is the owner of this body. It's not that body selecting the soul. It is the soul selecting the body. It's the soul selecting the body, not the body selecting the soul. So remember that particular soul that we call Aham Brahmasmi. The same soul in you, Tat Brahma Tomasi. So Vedanta teaches that consciousness is singular. All happenings are played out in one universal consciousness. And there is no multiplicity of selves. So you can see we are the same. I am Atma Brahma. Sarve Vayamada Param. That is what is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. After all, we are all one. The soul which takes, which passes away, which leaves the old body and accepts a new body, is the path. If you are born in this world, inevitably you have to die. If birth is there, death is there. If death is there, again birth is there. This is what is proved by Professor Eric Dean in his books. And also many books written, many masters, messages from the masters, same soul, many bodies. And you can see these are all the messages given by variety of the latest scholars in the West and the East. What ancient Indians told, that is being proved by the modern science. Still, world could understand about it. Unfortunately, the people like the professors in JNU, not everybody, some of the thinkers, so-called thinkers, so-called leftists, so-called progressives, so-called communists, they are still not aware about their own motherland's contribution to the world. Let us learn and teach others. Let us learn and teach others. Ignorance is not a crime, but not accepting that I am an ignorant person, that is a crime. Committing a mistake is pardonable. Committing continuously the same mistake is unpardonable crime. Many of the Indian scholars, many of the Indian professors, many of the Indian leftists, many of the communists, and some who think that they are the so-called progressives in the world, they still think that India is a primitive land. Indian knowledge is primitive in their eyes, in their wisdom, in their mind. Bible is superior. Quran is superior. Nobody will be saying that it is inferior. But their own motherland's contribution, they denigrate, they degrade, they belittle, they make fun of, knowing pretty well that they are denigrating their own heritage and values. But let us not forgive that. Let us not forget that. Learn and teach continuously so that we can change the world by taking the greatest scholars, meritorious professors' knowledge and telling to the world with explanation, taking the quotations from ancient Indian books. This can be spread world over. Let us, the Indians who are the owners of this knowledge, let us spread it to the world. Thank you very much. My pranams to you.